Welcome back. It is the Island Contracting Nightly Sports Call on the Borders and Borders Hotline. Bob Pompeani and Gene Collier with you at 412-575-2600. We have a lot of calls, Gene, so we're going to get right to them, beginning with Pat in Pittsburgh. Hey, Pat, go ahead.
Hey, gentlemen. Well, I think today, I want to make 2 points. Bob Nutting has clearly cemented himself as probably the most hated man in this region's history in any endeavor. But my main point is this. Everyone is talking about boycotting. Bob Nutting is playing in a taxpayer-financed stadium, and he just received millions of dollars for improvements to Seven Springs. Instead of boycotting, the people of this region need to be calling their state representatives and asking them to investigate his finances.
You can do that if you want. And quite frankly, and thanks for the call, you echo what a lot of people have tweeted today that I saw. And you look into this and you say, you know what should his obligation be, Gene? And here you go. Now you have an obligation as an owner to make a profit. That is your right. But you also have an obligation, I think, to put together a team that is competitive to win, given everything that caller described with taxpayer money into a stadium.
Yeah,
Isn't that supposed to be one of the top objectives?
These sports franchises are public trusts, Bob. I mean, maybe not by the letter of the law, but by the spirit of the law. And we may have come to a point in Pirates history here where you have to get civic leaders, financial leaders, the mayor, the county executive, people like that involved in looking at the Pirates and to determine whether or not they're being run in the best interests of the public trust. And I would submit that right now they are not.
No, and one of the things is the system. It's a system the Pirates voted on. It's a system the Pirates said okay to, even though they knew it would limit their chances of winning. Tampa Bay was the only team out there that voted against this current system because, quite frankly, everyone makes money. Rich Walsh was over there tonight from our station, and he directly asked Bob Nutting about the system and would the Pirates be better served. And this has been something we've talked about here forever. And he said, while that would be true, we have a system, we are obligated to abide by. Yeah, but you're also obligated maybe to talk when it's time and say, no, this cannot do well here in Pittsburgh or any other of these type of markets because it doesn't.
Have you ever heard in the ramp up to any of the recent collective bargaining agreements that the Pirates were considering voting down or voting no on those labor negotiations?
No.
No.
So they know the system under which they operate. And they have to deal with it, and they're okay with it because, again, they're making money. Let's go to Mary Kay in Munhall. What's up, Mary Kay? How are you?
Hi, Bob. Hi, Gene. Nice to talk to you. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm an avid Pirate fan, and I've talked to you a lot of times. I am so upset about this thing today. Nutting needs to go.
Yeah, but how do you? I mean, if you believe that, and a lot of people do, what do? I mean, he's an owner.
I don't know
he's in good standing with the league.
I am not.
He has a good relationship with the commissioner. I don't either. Gene, what can you do?
All you can do,
I
mean, by getting the community involved, I guess I mean in part that they have to kind of beat the bushes to see if there's someone who can put together the kind of financial package to which Bob Nutting cannot say no. Is that person out there? Is it somebody like a Mark Cuban or a Thomas Tull, somebody like that? They might be out there, but Nutting has insisted on the Pirates are not for sale, and that's a shame.
So ultimately, he controls all of this. If he says they're not for sale, there's no money on earth that can buy it away from him unless he's willing to accept it. So that's where you stand right there. All right, let's go to line 3. That's Eric in Castle Shannon. What's up, Eric? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Bob?
Good, thanks.
Hey, my question is I know this players and even you guys in the media. Was it just me? I mean, I just believe Jacksonville was better than what we gave them credit for. I don't think it had anything to do with overlooking. I mean, this team beat us in week 5 or whatever, 30-9. So I don't understand why we just made it seem like it was going to be a smooth sailing win.
Yeah, they gave up 75 points in 2 home games to Jacksonville this year. That says a lot about the Steelers' defense. And maybe, Gene, we were all mistaken when you look, and I think you could be blinded by a 13-3 record. You see the wins they've gotten, and they did do a lot to earn those wins. But at the same time, in each of them, a lot of them at least, there were big chunks of yardage down the field in passing plays, over 40 yards, over 50 yards, and they were concerns. They made quarterbacks like Brent Huntley look good, like Jacoby Brissett look good, at times Deshaun Kaiser look good. So it was a defense that certainly had its issues, but because they won 13 games, I think looking back, maybe we say, okay, it's not that big a deal. Well, it turned out to be a deal.
Oh, it definitely did. Another thing that happened there, Bob, and this was kind of undersold when it happened, when Ryan Shazier was injured, there was so much concern for him that it seemed, to be poor form to talk about the impact on the Steelers' defense. Nobody wanted to talk about that in terms of Ryan Shazier, but the fact is, Ryan Shazier got hurt in the 12th game. In those 12 games, the Steelers allowed 2 100-yard rushers. In the 5 games they played after that, they allowed 3. When Ryan Shazier was playing, they allowed 17 points a game. After that, they allowed 28 points a game. That was a huge loss that wasn't kind of portrayed as such when it happened because of the severity of his injury.
We have some tweets in. Gino Sirianni says the Pirates are paying $2.5 million for Kutch to play for the Giants is the biggest joke of the entire thing. And then Golden Rue on Twitter at KD Pomp and also at Gene Collier. He says, I hope the Steelers never have a bye week. It's obvious they can't get disciplined. They are not focused. Let's go to line 5. That's Ted in Steubenville. What's up, Ted? How you doing?
How you doing? I haven't talked to you in forever.
Good. Thanks. What's up, man? All right. And apparently you don't want to talk to us now.
Thanks for checking.
Let's go to Todd in Washington. Hey, Todd, how you doing?
Hey, guys, a really bizarre call there. Not sure what was going on.
Welcome to our
That's what
world.
we're all about.
Yeah. The point brought up about the defense, I think Gene hits the nail on the head. The defense really tailed off after Week 12 when Ryan Shazier decided to fake an injury. And, just...
All right. Let's go out to Bob in Indiana. What's up, Bob? How are you tonight?
I'm doing fine, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, 2 points. One is if people don't attend the game, don't buy tickets, that has to hurt, nothing as far as in the pocketbook. And the second thing is if the stadium is public known, can they say, you know what, you're not doing what's right. We're not letting you use the stadium and go somewhere else to play.
I don't know what they can do. I'm not smart enough to know that. Are you? What they can do?
No, it's all wrapped up in the bureaucracy of the sports authority, and
Right.
I don't know what they can and cannot do there. But the fans cannot go. Teams, not just the Pirates, are dependent on fans who don't really follow baseball. They just like to go.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's part of it. A lot
yeah,
of people
no,
like to go out.
That's absolutely fine.
And I know Bob Nutting probably down deep knows that, yes, he wants to attract as many people as he can, but he has a certain amount of people who on a nice summer's night are going to go over there and watch either fireworks and a baseball game or an after-show concert, whatever the case may be. His job is to make money as an owner, which he does. His job is also to win, which he does not. And that is the problem and the conundrum that I think we're in right now. Break. Mike and Jay will take your calls next when we continue live right here on Pittsburgh's CW.